What happens when one of Hollywood's most outspoken truth-tellers drops a bomb, and one of the industry's most powerful women refuses to stay silent? Because what just unfolded between Teyana Taylor and Jaguar Wright isn't just gossip. It's not just shade. It's not just another celebrity moment. It's a collision of narratives. Jaguar Wright, a woman known for calling out the industry's darkest corners, recently made bold claims about Hollywood power dynamics, image control, and the cost of silence. And while she didn't hold back, what truly shocked fans wasn't what she said. It was who responded. Teyana Taylor, usually calculated, usually controlled, usually 10 steps ahead. But this time, fans say she erupted. Cryptic posts, subtle captions, industry insiders whispering about phone calls behind the scenes. And suddenly, social media split into two sides. Team Jaguar. She's exposing the system. Team Teyana. This is clout-chasing chaos. But here's the real question. Is this about truth or power? Because in 2026, the most dangerous weapon in Hollywood isn't money. It's narrative control. And tonight, we're breaking down what Jaguar actually said, why fans think Teyana responded, how the industry quietly reacted, and what this could mean for both of their careers. Buckle up, because this isn't just drama. This is strategy. Before we even talk about Teyana Taylor, before we talk about reactions, responses, or rumored tension, we need to understand one thing. Jaguar Wright doesn't just speak. She detonates conversations. For years now, Jaguar has carved out a reputation as one of the most outspoken voices in the entertainment space. While other artists carefully measure every word, she does the opposite. Interviews with her don't trend because they're polished. They trend because they're unpredictable. She names patterns. She questions power. She challenges narratives. And whether you believe her or not, you watch. That's important. Because in today's culture, attention is power. Jaguar's brand isn't built on hit singles anymore. It's built on disruption. When she appears on a podcast or live stream, viewers already expect something explosive. Not gossip, not shade. Something bigger, something systemic. She talks about the machine, the hidden politics of fame, the deals nobody sees, the pressure to maintain image over authenticity. And here's where things get complicated. There are two types of audiences when Jaguar speaks. Group 1 says, she's fearless. She's telling truths others are too scared to say. Group 2 says, she thrives on controversy. This is performance. But both groups do the same thing. They click, they comment, they argue. And that's what keeps her relevant. Now here's why this matters in the Teyana conversation. Because when Jaguar recently spoke about image control, industry manipulation, and curated relationships, fans didn't just listen to what she said. They started connecting dots. And in the social media age, connecting dots is more powerful than confirmed facts. No direct names were dropped at first, but tone, timing, subtle hints, that's all the internet needs. Within hours, fan accounts began speculating. Reaction videos popped up. Threads appeared breaking down body language, old interviews, even song lyrics. Suddenly, what started as commentary turned into a narrative. And once a narrative forms online, it moves faster than clarification ever can. But here's the bigger question. Why does Jaguar's voice carry so much weight in moments like this? Because she has positioned herself as someone outside the system. She speaks like someone with nothing to lose. And in a culture where many celebrities appear polished, filtered, and PR-trained, rawness feels authentic, even when it's messy. That authenticity, real or perceived, makes people lean in. Now think about this carefully. When someone known for exposing industry secrets speaks in vague but heavy language, and another high-profile artist is in the middle of public attention, the audience doesn't wait for confirmation. They create their own storyline. And that's exactly what began happening. Clips were reposted out of context. Quotes were shortened into punchlines. Reaction channels amplified emotional parts. Suddenly, it wasn't just Jaguar speaks. It was, Jaguar just shook Hollywood. But did she? Or did the internet amplify it into something bigger? That's the line we're walking in this story. Because before we talk about Teyana's response, before we talk about alleged tension, we have to acknowledge something crucial. Jaguar Wright understands the power of timing. And this moment, the timing was interesting. Very interesting. Because when narratives collide in Hollywood, it's rarely accidental. And what happened next turned speculation into full-blown cultural debate. Now here's where everything shifted. Jaguar didn't post a neatly packaged exposé. She didn't upload receipts. She didn't even directly name names. What she did was more powerful. She spoke in themes. She talked about image, about curated love stories, about how Hollywood sells perfection while hiding fractures behind velvet curtains. And then she said something that made the internet sit up straight. She questioned whether some power couples are built more on optics than authenticity. That line right there? That was gasoline, because timing in Hollywood is never neutral. At the exact moment Jaguar made those comments, Teyana Taylor was already in the spotlight. New music buzzing, public appearances circulating, her personal life trending in subtle waves. So when Jaguar spoke about relationships that benefit careers more than hearts, fans didn't need a direct tag. They filled in the blanks themselves. Within minutes, clips of Jaguar's interview were chopped into 15-second TikToks. The most dramatic lines were isolated. The pauses were exaggerated. Reaction captions like, "Wait, is she talking about Teyana?" Not her calling out staged love stories. This can't be a coincidence. And just like that, the narrative began forming. Now here's what's fascinating. The internet doesn't operate on proof. It operates on pattern recognition. Fans started pulling old interviews. They compared timelines. They replayed moments where Teyana had spoken about authenticity, loyalty, vulnerability. Suddenly, everything looked connected. Even if it wasn't. Blogs picked it up next. And here's where amplification happens. Not Jaguar makes general comments about Hollywood. No. Headlines leaned into drama. Jaguar Wright hints at fake industry relationships. Is this about Teyana? Hollywood secrets coming to light? Notice the question marks. That's how modern gossip works. You don't accuse, you imply. An implication spreads faster than confirmation ever could. Meanwhile, fans split into camps. One side said, "She's exposing image culture. If it doesn't apply, why react?" The other side fired back. Why speak in riddles unless you want attention? The debate wasn't about facts anymore. It was about intention. And intention is impossible to prove. That's why this moment escalated so quickly. Because Jaguar's delivery wasn't chaotic. It was calm, controlled, almost surgical. No yelling, no visible anger. Just pointed observations about how the industry manufactures romance for relevance. And when someone with a reputation for bold truth-telling says that, people listen differently. But here's the twist. Jaguar didn't escalate it. The audience did. Screenshots of Teyana's recent posts began circulating. Old captions were analyzed like coded messages. Song lyrics were dissected line by line. Social media detectives went into overdrive. Even silence became suspicious. And in celebrity culture, once silence becomes suspicious, pressure builds fast. Because now the spotlight wasn't just on Jaguar. It was turning toward Teyana. The real explosion wasn't the comment. It was the reaction to the comment. And the question hanging in the air was simple. Would Teyana ignore it or respond? Because in Hollywood, sometimes the most powerful move is saying nothing. But sometimes, saying nothing looks like guilt. And what happened next made people question whether this was about truth or control. Here's what makes this part so powerful. Teyana Taylor didn't jump on live. She didn't tweet a rant. She didn't tag anyone. But she didn't ignore it either. And in 2026, digital body language speaks louder than press conferences. Within 24 hours of Jaguar's interview clips going viral, fans noticed subtle shifts. A caption changed, a story deleted, a lyric reposted. Nothing explosive, but intentional. One Instagram story in particular caught attention. A black background, white text, 4 words. Control your own narrative. That's it. No names, no hashtags. But the timing? Surgical. Was it about Jaguar? Was it about the internet speculation? Was it about something else entirely? That ambiguity is powerful, because when a public figure posts something vague during controversy, it becomes a mirror. People project what they want onto it, and fans projected hard. Comment sections filled instantly. Don't let them twist your story. She shook the table, and now you responding? If it doesn't apply, let it fly. Then came the second shift. Teyana reposted a clip from an older interview where she talked about privacy and protecting her peace. The clip ended with her saying, "Not everything deserves a reaction." That line alone triggered another wave. Was she dismissing Jaguar, or was she elevating herself above the noise? See, this is where celebrity strategy becomes chess. A loud rebuttal would escalate. Total silence might imply discomfort. But controlled subtle messaging? That keeps power centered. Industry insiders, or at least accounts claiming to have insider insight, started whispering that calls were made behind the scenes. No proof, just sources say. And that phrase alone is enough to keep speculation alive for days. Meanwhile, Teyana continued her scheduled appearances. Red carpet, studio session snippet, fashion campaign repost, visually unbothered. But here's where things got interesting. Body language analysts on TikTok began dissecting her public appearances. They zoomed in on micro-expressions. They slowed down interviews. They pointed out tone shifts. And suddenly, normal human expressions became evidence. That's the danger of high-profile tension. Every blink becomes a clue. Then came the unfollow rumors. A fan account noticed Jaguar was no longer following Teyana. Or maybe she never was. Or maybe it was a glitch. But by the time anyone confirmed anything, the headline had already formed. Digital distance? And in celebrity culture, an unfollow is louder than a diss track. What makes this moment powerful isn't what Teyana said. It's what she didn't say. Because when someone known for being expressive suddenly becomes strategic, people feel it. And here's the deeper layer. Teyana has always positioned herself as calculated but authentic, creative but controlled, emotional but intentional. So fans began asking, is she protecting herself or protecting something bigger? And this is where narratives get slippery. Because once two strong personalities collide in public perception, the truth becomes secondary to momentum. Momentum is what drives views. Momentum drives headlines. Momentum drives algorithms. And right now, momentum was building. Not because of a confirmed feud, but because of energy. Unspoken tension, timing, subtle posts, calculated calm. The real question wasn't, did she erupt? It became, why does this feel like a chess match? And if this is chess, who moved first? Here's something most people don't realize. When celebrity tension trends online, the artists aren't the first ones reacting. Their teams are. Publicists, managers, brand partners, legal advisors. And when Jaguar's comments started gaining traction, and Teyana's subtle posts started fueling speculation, somewhere phones were ringing. Because in Hollywood, perception isn't just emotional, it's financial, brand deals, streaming numbers, future casting opportunities. All of that depends on narrative stability. Now think about this carefully. If Jaguar positions herself as someone exposing industry illusion, and fans start tying that illusion to Teyana, that creates risk. Not necessarily truth-based risk, but perception-based risk. And perception is what sponsors care about. So what happens next in situations like this? There are usually 3 PR paths. 1. Ignore and let the cycle die. 2. Subtly redirect the conversation. 3. Lean into the drama for visibility. What made this moment so intense is that neither side fully escalated. There were no formal statements, no televised interviews, no official back and forth. Instead, what we saw looked like controlled maneuvering. Jaguar continued speaking in broader themes, never locking into a direct confrontation. Teyana continued posting in polished, career-focused ways, signaling stability. That's not chaos, that's containment. But here's the part people overlook. Sometimes controversy isn't accidental. Sometimes it's momentum. And momentum boosts algorithms. Streams spike, search traffic increases, old interviews resurface, song lyrics get reanalyzed. Even if the situation wasn't orchestrated, the outcome benefits visibility. And that's why fans started asking, is this conflict or coincidence? Because in 2026, outrage cycles are predictable. One bold statement. Clips go viral. Fans speculate. Digital reactions fuel engagement. Media blogs amplify. Both names trend. And even if neither party directly profits from drama, they both gain attention. That doesn't mean it's staged, but it does mean the ecosystem rewards it. Now let's talk about power dynamics. Jaguar's power comes from disruption. Teyana's power comes from control. One thrives in exposure, the other thrives in image management. When those two energies collide, you don't get screaming matches. You get tension, measured moves, strategic pauses. And here's something even deeper. The industry rarely punishes silence, but it often punishes volatility. So if you're a major artist with brand relationships and long-term partnerships, you don't explode publicly, you move quietly, which is exactly what made Teyana's response, or lack of one, so fascinating. Because instead of defending, instead of attacking, she held position, and holding position under pressure, that's either confidence or calculation, and fans can't decide which one it is. Meanwhile, Jaguar's audience grows stronger every time she challenges industry narratives. So now we have two women operating from completely different power bases. One rooted in institutional presence, one rooted in outsider truth-telling. And the tension between those two archetypes? That's what made this story bigger than gossip. It became symbolic. Authenticity versus optics. Exposure versus elegance. Disruption versus discipline. And when a story turns symbolic, it lasts longer. But here's the million-dollar question. Who actually benefits from this moment? Because in any Hollywood conflict, someone walks away stronger. The only thing left to figure out is, who? Let's strip away emotion for a second. Forget loyalty. Forget stan culture. Forget who you personally like. In any viral celebrity collision, there are only three measurable outcomes: attention, sympathy, longevity. So let's break it down. First, attention. The moment Jaguar's interview clips started circulating, her name trended again. New audiences discovered her. Old interviews resurfaced. Her voice, once again, became central to cultural debate. That's visibility. On the other side, Teyana's name also spiked in search. Streams increased. Engagement on her social platforms surged. Old performances were reposted. Interviews were rewatched. That's also visibility. Controversy doesn't just divide audiences, it activates them. Now let's talk sympathy. Jaguar supporters see her as fearless, someone willing to risk backlash to question a polished system. Teyana's supporters see her as composed under pressure, a woman refusing to be baited into chaos. Both narratives generate protection from their respective audiences. And when audiences feel protective, they stay loyal. That's long-term value. Now here's where it gets deeper. This moment wasn't fueled by confirmed accusations. It was fueled by interpretation. And interpretation is the most powerful currency online, because once the public starts filling in blanks themselves, you don't have to say much more. That's why this situation never turned into a screaming match. No official diss, no direct call-out, no public meltdown, just tension. And tension is addictive. But here's the twist nobody wants to admit. The real winner in moments like this is the algorithm. Drama increases watch time. Debate increases comments. Division increases shares. And when engagement spikes, platforms reward it. So whether this was conflict, coincidence, or simply cultural timing, the system thrived. Now ask yourself something honest. If Jaguar never speaks, does this moment exist? If Teyana reacts emotionally, instead of strategically, does it escalate further? If fans don't connect dots, does the story even form? This wasn't just about two women. It was about how quickly narratives form when powerful personalities occupy the same digital space. And maybe that's the real takeaway. In today's industry, you don't need confirmed facts to spark a cultural storm. You just need timing, tone, and tension. So now we're left with the final layer. Was this exposure? Was this misunderstanding? Or was this simply the internet doing what it does best, turning ambiguity into spectacle? Because in Hollywood, there's one universal truth. Silence can protect you. But perception? Perception defines you. And right now I want to hear from you. After everything we just broke down, after the timing, the tension, the subtle posts, the layered statements, who do you believe? Is Jaguar Wright fearlessly challenging a system people are too scared to question? Or is this another case of bold commentary creating chaos without clarity? And what about Teyana Taylor? Was that silent strength, strategy, or something calculated? Drop your honest take in the comments, but come with logic, not just loyalty. Because this right here, this isn't just gossip. This is about how narratives are built, how reputations shift, and how quickly the internet decides who's hero and who's villain. If this breakdown made you think differently, hit that like button so more people see it. Subscribe if you're ready for the next layer. Because trust me, if this story evolves, we're not missing it. Stay sharp. Hollywood never moves without a reason.